This is Lidl's Bargain Steam Cleaner, and today I'm going to be putting it through some real-world tests to see whether it's suitable for your spring clean or whether you should put it back in the middle aisle. Inside the box we get a selection of accessories. We've got a hose, we've got a fine nozzle that's got a brush attachment that goes on the end of it. I've got another 90-degree nozzle. We have a wider brush head. These have got some very stiff bristles on, so be very careful what surface you use this on. But if you wanted to put the sock on top, this would come in very handy for cleaning things like fabric seats. They also throw in a beaker, and I think it's a fair selection of accessories which should be useful for many scenarios, not just car cleaning. But coming in at under £20, surely there has to be some compromises. As for the steam cleaner itself, I can see it ticking many boxes. It's lightweight, portable, I've got a 4-metre power cable, and it only takes 3 minutes to heat up, so it's all looking good. But the only negative thing I can see from this is the tank capacity. Unfortunately, you're only going to be able to get 250 mils of water in, which is one of these beakers filled up. So I'm not quite sure how we're going to get on if we're going to work on any larger surfaces. For the odd spillage or stain on a sofa, I think this could be plenty good enough, as long as you can remember that it's not something you might be able to do very quickly because you have to wait for it to cool down before you take the cap off. This is definitely not a toy, something you shouldn't be playing with. If you still have hot steam and pressure in there and you go to take the lid off, there is a high risk it could fly up in your face and it could cause some serious damage. For best results, you should be using distilled water. Otherwise, over time, you will get a build-up of limescale. Before I even think about using this on a dirty car or dirty anything, there is one thing that I've never ever done before, which I've always wanted to try with a steam cleaner. Let's go find out. I've topped up the steam cleaner, the green light has come on, which means I'm ready to start blasting. Now, I'm about to try something I've never ever done in my life before, and that is remove creases from a shirt, aka the ironing. Now, I've got a good example here because it's got a Daihatsu Copen, and we did just clean one of them on the channel. But I've seen these videos and I've seen dry cleaners use something similar. They use steam, they introduce it to the shirt, and apparently it would get rid of all the creases. Not sure on this one, but let's give it a go. So occasionally you might get some water come out, but this is already... Nope, none of that. Okay, that's actually better than I expected. I'm going to give this a go. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm sure my wife would love to be in this segment, but she's not here, so... Apparently, you've just got to give it a bit of distance. I don't know whether I should take this off or not because I don't want to use steam and then get it damp, dare I say? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm really out of my depth. Dry cleaning with a steamer is a chemical-free, eco-friendly method to refresh garments by using hot vapour to kill odour-causing bacteria. And it works by relaxing fabric fibres without the harsh heat of ironing or the chemical solvents used in traditional dry cleaning, making it ideal for delicate fabrics. The funny thing is, I can see this sort of working, but not massively. I can see when I introduce the steam to it, the creases do come out, but it's like, how much more steam do I need to use? And I'm trying not to scorch my fingers. I'm pretty much out of steam now, and yeah, that's it. And I've not really managed to do one shirt. It's a bit better, but it's still got creases on it. So as far as Dave does dry cleaning goes, sorry guys, that channel is not going to happen. Once a steam cleaner is empty, you need to make sure it's switched off, cooled down, and then the pressure released. So I've only left that for about 2 minutes. Yeah, no problems. I thought you'd have to wait, a bit longer, at least 5 to 10 minutes. That's 250 mils. Let's get the cap back on. And shall we do some car cleaning? I think it's about time. Steam cleaners have many different uses, especially for the interior of your car. One of the best ones that I can see is the removal of any nasty odours. Whether you've got dog wee or there's vomit or even spilt milk, this should be able to break it down. And it's not just the odours either. You can tackle up to 99.9% of all nasty bacteria. Now, you do have to hold it on there for a long time for it to be effective, but there's nothing more satisfying than sitting in a clean car that feels fresh and it doesn't feel like it's been blasted with loads of chemicals. A downside from steam cleaners is sometimes you can get a large build-up of moisture, making the seats wet. However, something that separates a steamer from a wetback is the 0 chemicals needed. So if you didn't suck it all up, you may regret it down the line. Here's a little party piece for you. If you want to get clean glass and you don't want to use any chemicals, grab yourself a steam cleaner like so. And we're just going to go over it lightly. Definitely don't do this on a frosty morning, for goodness sake. And now grab a squeegee. Probably be helpful if I did this on better glass and had a smaller squeegee. But if we just wipe it out of the way, we'll be left with pretty much perfect glass. No streaks, no smears, no mess, and best of all, no chemicals. For cup holders, it's brilliant because the steam eliminates the crumbs and drink spillages in seconds. Just try not to get it too close to the plastic and hold it there for longer periods of time. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds great, I don't need any chemicals, but that's not always the case. We can't steam leather because it takes out some of the essential oils and it dries it out a lot quicker over time. But one thing we can work on are these carpets. Now, if you look here, they have got some horrible stains, but it's not just steam on its own. We still need to use some chemicals, but the steam's going to assist with getting the job done quicker. I'm using some carpet cleaner which I've soaked into the fabric, which will help give it some extra bite. The bristles are very stiff, so depending on what type of carpet you have, I'll be very careful in case you snag any of the fibres. You're far better off putting the sock on top as it acts similar to a scrub pad. For cleaning the pedals, I had no complaints. It worked perfectly as you would expect. One thing you will notice with the steam cleaner is when you use it for the first time, you get this instant hit of high pressure. But after using it for about 15 or 30 seconds continuously, you'll find that pressure will really start to diminish. So then you've got to put it back down, let it build up again, and then you get that instant hit again. So now I've been waffling for a few seconds. If I press the trigger, you get that instant hit. But if I hold the trigger, it just feels like that pressure is just going gradually. I'm going to hold it for a bit so you can see what I mean. See? I've got another one on standby. This is the Aquarius Pro. This is about 300 quid, so yeah, it should be good. It's continuous, but that's a commercial steamer, so there's a very big difference here. But I just wanted to show you, if you do want to use this for longer periods, just be prepared to wait a little bit. And this is a hard one because it's good. It does work. It just needs to be a tiny bit better. Another perfect example of using a steam cleaner would be if you've washed your car and let's say that you've missed one of the areas like the door shuts, then bringing out the steam cleaner would make sense because it uses very little water and it removes the dirt safely without making any mess. Earlier on, I mentioned about this lid being a bit of a hazard. My fear was that it could go pop in your face if you're trying to unscrew it under pressure. The good thing is though, they've designed this in such a way you cannot take the lid off. If it's warm, you've got this heat and this pressure build up and it's switched on. So you really do have to have it completely switched off and it has to cool down to a certain temperature before you can release the pressure and then undo the cap. Good job, Lidl. Using a steam cleaner on the taps works brilliantly as it tackles all the gunk around the bottom and it's amazing how much you can see it shift. I decided to have a go at cleaning the smaller sink in the loo as it's been on my to-do list for many months, and most of it was covered in black paint. I have no idea where that came from. But anyway, I made sure the steamer was topped up fully to reduce the pressure loss. And apart from a few bits of hard water around the bottom, most of it came out sparkling. For car cleaning, it's one of those tools that you may want, but it's not necessarily one of those tools that you're going to need. There's only a few situations where I would really have to break out a steam cleaner. anything antibacterial, mold or sick or whatever, that's the only time I'd really break out a steamer. Oh, actually, another good one is breaking down spilt paint. If you've got any gloss paint or something you spilt in the boot, it's very handy to have one on standby because sometimes chemicals just isn't enough. Now, any other scenario like around the home, I can definitely see it playing more into the favour of house cleaning. It's just one of those tools I just felt as a car cleaner, you can only really get away with using it on a few surfaces. Most people will probably only use a steam cleaner a handful of times a year. So ideally, getting something that's very cheap and portable that you can keep out the way definitely makes sense. As for this Silver Crest steam cleaner, I really liked it. I mean, look, the hose is a bit short, you get 10 minutes of run time, but it really isn't a total deal breaker for me. I think there's many supporting arguments for getting one instead of leaving it on the shelf. So for me, I think it's a winner. Now, whilst we're on the subject of household products, one question I commonly get asked is, can you wash your car with washing up liquid? Well, as it happens, I have made a dedicated video that covers everything you need to know. And the answer is not as straightforward as you think. To find out why, you can go and watch this video right here.